Ultra.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and another episode of Pulsechain Tech Talk. This is episode 2. We have the founder of Pulse.domains and PulseCoinList.com. Good to have you.
What's up, Gerardo? Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to talk, especially during this interesting time.
Of course, man. And so, like, if you guys have ever gone to transfer any coins on Ethereum, instead of typing in the long address of characters, 0xAB9632, whatever, you've probably found yourself sending to, probably not this one in particular, but like Vitalik.eth or someone.eth. So that .eth that is appended to a name is known as an Ethereum domain, right? So what you and your team are doing at Pulse.domains is doing the .pls domains. And there are a ton of benefits, right? Like you don't mistype a character. It's easy to remember to type. There's that vanity aspect to it as well of having a .pls name. So yeah, excited for this interview and for what you guys are building, because ENS has proven to be a huge piece of Ethereum infrastructure. And as you know, a lot of Pulsechain guys are building the pretty much the infrastructure we need to either be on par or better than Ethereum as an L1. So I guess we'll start with the first question I have here for you, which is PNS, your Pulsechain Name Service, is it a direct or modified fork of ENS?
Yeah, really good question. Yeah, let me answer that question and then come up with some additional analogies to think about the domain name space. So number one is we are, I'd say 99.99% is a direct fork of ENS. So in other words, as many other builders, we're standing on the shoulders of giants of the Ethereum Name Service team, building already this awesome tech and validating it. So we are a direct fork with a couple of changes. The biggest change that we have is a referral system, which we believe will help with adoption. So in other words, if you refer someone, you get essentially 10% to 15% cut. In addition to that, the other chain is we do not have a token. Not at this stage. Maybe in the future, when we think about governance and where the direction of PNS is going to go. But as of now, we don't have a token, which is, again, this is the additional chain. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. Also similar to Pulsechain, any future updates that the ENS team does or will make in the future are some of the updates. Well, actually, all of the updates we can adopt right away. Without patching up certain things. In addition to that, the ENS contracts have been audited 3 times. For most, that's good enough. We, on top of that, did also an additional audit with Certic, not only auditing our changes but auditing everything. So, and it's like we initially we're going back and forth of just having the changes audit or everything, and we're like, okay, let's just audit all of the contracts that we have. So in other words, yeah, everything is audited, 99% copy of ENS, other than the affiliate or referral system, and then the token is not included.
Nice. And you answered a bunch of my other questions. So another one was, is forking allowed by the original source codes?
Yeah.
License?
So the beauty, so I've been building in Web 2, in other words, like software, like, the regular softwares that we know, usually software as a service. There you don't see this concept of forking or open source at all. The beauty of Web 3 is you do have a lot of open source software out there. And that allows, for continuous improvements on software that's already out there, but then also allows others to fork it and make modified versions of it for their own use case, for instance, right? So it's like similar to Uniswap or similar to I believe DYDX, or similar to many protocols that you see on Ethereum Pulsechain. All of them are open source, or most of them are open source, with pretty much not many restrictions. So you could essentially use it for commercial use and so on. So yeah. So yeah.
Very cool. Now you're answering a bunch of my questions ahead of time, like how much different is PNS and ENS? You answered that. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
One of my
And
questions
the thing is just to kind of like talk about the differences or similarities. There are some other name services out there, right? Unstoppable Domains, who has like a different fee structure and so on. They're basically saying, instead of paying us every year, just pay us $3,000 for a domain name, and that's pretty much it. And then there's some other versions of that, right? And we looked at ENS, which is obviously the most successful in that space, with a pricing system that makes sense and this actually encourages adoption and usage and utility of that domain name. So we decided to, instead of like reinventing the wheel, why not take an approach that already works in the Web3 space when it comes to domain names, as well as in the Web2 space when it comes to domains. Yeah.
Very cool. So you referenced the differences in, you guys have a referral system. You don't have a token as of now. And so those are the main differences then.
Yeah, exactly. And then also for us, I'm a day one Hexagon and have been with the community for quite some time. Kind of like the whole ethos on why we're building an ENS system. It is really about the importance of giving our community their own identity, legitimizing Pulsechain. And then also bringing more utility to Pulsechain, right? So one way is Pulse Domains, which is now, a legitimate thing. And then also with PulseCoinList, which is a coin ranking site, it's like, oh, now we actually have a full-on ecosystem with various applications, with various sites on Pulsechain, supporting Pulsechain to really legitimize this chain outside of, the known individuals that already know about Pulsechain.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to do more things on Pulsechain than just trade coins on PulseX. Like, don't get me wrong, those were the Genesis dApps, right? The Genesis protocols that launched with the chain, but it's an L1. Of course, we're going to see other things build on top of it, like what you guys are doing, and it does make it more fun. It gives it more utility. I would argue it gives the chain more value, and what better way to bootstrap adoption than, hey, we have everything over here that you might want. So shout out to you guys for building out this infrastructure, man.
Yeah, and one analogy that most don't really think about. So why are domain names or identity really important in the internet world, right? So most people compare it directly to ENS, to the Ethereum Name Service, with a .eth, but no one really makes the connection with .coms or .cns and .xyzs and so on, because back in the day, people typed in an actual IP address into the search bar, right, to connect to a website. So, and then ICANN, which is like this organization that came up with a naming convention with the .coms and .xyzs and so on, created a standard, and now we basically use the internet where we type in human readable names into the address bar to find addresses, right? And we basically see something very, very similar in the Web3 space, right? However, in the Web3 space, domain names now have way more functions and utilities than the traditional Web2 domain names. So with Web3 domain names, you can use it as your identity for your address. You could also save, your whole profile, everything that is associated with you to that address. Let's say,
and I know you guys are doing something like that.
Yeah,
so we'll get into that.
We're doing that already. You can test it out and play around with it. All of those features have not been really marketed and explained in many instances. And something, once we launch, we'll actually dive a little bit deeper about all of the features and how you can use it. But and it's like, because many people don't realize the power of Web3 names in particular, because going back, you can connect your entire identity to it. You can also host your own websites with it. You can connect your IPFS websites to it. So that thing becomes like a utility that you can use in so many different other ways. And to be honest, the entire Web3 community, like the entire Web3, not only Pulsechain and so on, only the main feature for them of using Web3 domain names is flexing. But most people don't know about all of the other features that
Right.
Web2 domain names offer.
Yeah, one reason I'm really excited about that is because a lot of these dApps on Pulsechain are probably going to have some sort of profile section, as for example, Mintra does. And I've talked to my team a little bit and said, when PNS comes out, when Pulse.domains comes out with all of their features on mainnet, I would love a way for a user to just be able to hit a button and synchronize with PNS. Just sync with PNS. Boom. If they're the address, that's signed in, that owns these domains, well, then they can choose, and you pretty much have this universal on-chain profile / identity that other dApps can use. Versus right now, for example, it's it's not that. So I'm really excited.
I think this is from a macro perspective, this is the future of the internet, of where it's going. Where you have one identity, which is an address that is pseudo anonymous, or if you want, you can use your first and last name as your address. But that you can use, as your online identity, as well as signing into different services and Web2 and Web3 applications with that single identity, right? So in this case, I have, my name. I can go to Mintra. I can go to, PulseX, and can essentially see my identity there and log in with it, but also maybe do some data syncing if I choose to, Yeah.
Sweet, man. And I like how this kind of ties into other stuff I was going to ask. The whole analogies to traditional domain name services is, can you explain how a .pls name gets associated with an address? As far as I know, it's like, I believe it's a registrar contract or something. I'm not too familiar with it, but if you can go in depth into like, this is my address and it's associated with this .pls name, like how does that magic happen?
Yeah, exactly. So just to contrast it with the Web2 space, in the Web2 space, if you want to buy a .com or any domain name, there's this organization called ICANN. If they essentially, it's a centralized entity, they decide on what top-level domain names are being created. And then also, if your website does anything shady, they essentially can also take your domain name away or basically shut your website down. In Web3, that is totally different. So we have once the contract is on Pulsechain, that becomes immutable. So any domain name you mint and whatever you choose doing with it, we cannot take it back. We cannot limit it in any shape or form, right? So it's like we're launching a series of contracts. One of them is the registration contract, which ultimately mints those names and is also being used as the primary directory for all of the name lookups. So any other dApps can tap into that name registry contract and look up various addresses and various names and their records associated with a particular name. Yeah. And that, again, fully immutable. If you do whatever you do with your domain name, we cannot change it. We cannot take it back. And it becomes like, fully immutable on that end.
Nice. So it's all in the smart contract then.
Exactly. And then also one of the features, again, I don't want to go into feature land here and explain all of the features, but one of the things that becomes also really interesting is if you mint your own domain name, let's say mintra.pls, you can mint as many subdomains as you want and use that as an additional service for any Mintra users.
Boom.
So
that's like that's analogous to the traditional Web2 world where you have like a Mintra.ai and you can have like a test.mintra.ai. That's what you mean.
True.
Right?
But in the Web2 paradigm, you own all of them. In the Web3 paradigm, if you own Mintra.pls, you're the owner and you start issuing subdomains and send them out to people, you can renounce your ownership of Mintra.ai. In other words, not renounce your ownership, but renounce the ability to modify any other subdomains so they become truly immutable. You know what I mean? So you could basically issue subdomains and make them immutable so others don't need to trust you as the top level domain owner for you to change anything. So everyone gets subdomains. They can host their own websites, they can do their own identity, whatever they want, and know for a fact on chain that you renounced the ability to modify.
Okay, that's cool. Let me get this straight. I want to make sure I got this right. So you're saying if I were to get, for example, Mintra.pls, and I were to want to, let's say, distribute to either my dev team or my community, like their first name .mintra.pls, you're saying I can renounce ownership of any given subdomain in particular.
You could, exactly.
And then just give it away, sort of.
You could renounce on the top level domain, which is mintra.pls, that any subdomains that are being generated, that you cannot modify, any of their records. Mm-hmm. So people can, in that case, create subdomains and use them to their liking, knowing that you cannot modify them or take them back or do any other things with it. Yeah. And, this is also currently still being, explored, or you can sell them. You can sell subdomains if you choose to, or you can rent them out. And, the model there is still kind of like being figured out what you can do with the subdomains. But
yeah, that leads to the next question, which is sorry, go ahead.
I mean, what I'm trying to say, it's like this is still very, very early stages, on like what direction this is being taken. And in many instances, like this is what I really love about the Web3 space, right? You have interesting technology, and now it's about like the use cases and also the experiences that you can craft to see where it goes from there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I'm really excited for that sync with PNS little button that's going to be on Mintra eventually. It's just like, boom, your on-chain profile, done. So easy, so clean. And on-chain, I'm a fan of anything that's on-chain, immutable. I wanted to ask you a little bit about how NFTs come into the mix, because you hinted at it by saying if you mint this this domain, etc. So you have an address, it's associated with a .pls domain, and it's associated with an NFT as well, making that domain tradable. Is the domain the NFT itself, or is the NFT sort of like a wrapper / representation of it? And how do the NFTs come into the mix with this whole thing?
Good question. So yeah, to put it simply, when you mint your domain, you're pretty much minting an NFT that sits in your wallet. And that NFT becomes tradable. You can essentially put it, on Mintra or any NFT marketplaces on Pulsechain. You could also just leave it in your wallet and connect it to your wallet address and say, hey, my wallet address is like the main link between my wallet address and that NFT is that address, and use it for various cases. Or you could send it around. But it is, to put it simply, an NFT that you are minting pretty much.
Now, I think I know the answer to this question, but between the two most common NFT standards, those being ERC-721 and ERC-1155, I assume the reason that these domains are the ERC-1155 standard is because you want to have a collection where you can keep adding token IDs, right? Keep minting new ones.
Exactly, and that's mainly for the subdomains. And then also, we can also in the future upgrade the standards. So right now, one of the biggest reasons why we have the newer standard of the NFTs is because that allows you to append additional data attributes to an NFT. Right. So in this case, for us, it's like you mint your domain name. You can append your IPFS websites to it. You could append your YouTube link to it. You could append your Twitter profile to it. You can append, your NFT collection is already, visible, but you can append as many different records to that particular NFT, and it becomes kind of like this folder that holds all of the different things, right? And you could also append additional addresses. You can append you can append a BTC address to your profile, an Ethereum address. So the use cases are really vast, especially if you play around with the dApp. Well, read through our documentation. I know it's a little boring to read through it, but we haven't really published most of the features that we have. They're all in our documentation and also on testnet right now if you play around with, but we haven't really scratched the surface on like publishing them and introducing them not only to the world but then also to the Pulsechain community.
Okay, nice. So ERC-1155 seems to be the perfect token standard for this. So you can keep adding token IDs to the overall collection. People keep minting their domains, and not only that, once they own the domain, they can append metadata, whether that be social media links or off-chain stuff, right? Like BTC address. That's interesting. That's cool, man.
Yep,
now,
exactly.
I've noticed this on Ethereum. I own a few .eth domains, and yeah, the one thing I've noticed is that when I own them and I go see, let's say like on MetaMask or on OpenSea, you go to your profile, you see what you own. It doesn't really have distinguishing art. So I want to get into that a little bit. Like, is it just going to be a sort of standardized art? Is it SVG on chain? Like, what is the art? How is it generated? Is it standardized, or can we expect maybe some cool art on these NFTs?
Yes to all. One, if you mint it, it is standardized, but then you have the ability to modify and upload your own art to it. Yes. So that feature is currently on testnet. That totally works. And yeah, for now, we will be hosting. So that's a big caveat. For now, we will be hosting all of the images for you. But then in the future, we will also allow the ability to host the image on an IPFS protocol. So in this case, it becomes everything is fully decentralized. So
I love it. I love it. Yeah, IPFS is brilliant for anything that you want to do off chain, but still keep decentralized.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
good to hear that you guys will be able to host those images there. And that can't be too crazy, right? Versus hosting it on.
No, I mean, at the very end, no, it's not. It's like we just want to make sure that there's like, honestly, we built the full-on stack. We built 3 websites associated with Pulse domains, right? We have Pulse profiles and then an IPFS website. So we have a couple of things that we fully developed for Pulse domains and tested it on testnet, be it on version 2 and version 3 and version 4. And so we are just like ready with all of our builds. And then on mainnet, we will just like turn them all on one by one, including, in this case, the IPFS hosting of images. Yeah. Yeah, so we tested all of it. It's all ready. We're good. Now instead of like redoing it on every test net that we had in the past, we're like, okay, we tested various functions multiple times, and then on mainnet we start rolling them out one by one, knowing they all work, and the way we want them to work.
Yeah, that's cool to hear, and I'm not sure if Ethereum and ENS have that ability for you to change the art on your domain, do they? On
their current version, well, technically they do.
I've checked. They do?
Technically they do, but it all boils down to the user experience. Does the front end allow you to do so?
Easily,
so for instance, so for instance with ENS, like 2 years ago, you could have done custom artwork, or 3 years ago, or actually on the day they came out, but then you essentially have to go to the block explorer and write it fully on chain. You know what I mean? So which ultimately means no one is going to do it other than 3 people. You know what I mean? So which is also the biggest opportunity, I believe, in the domain name space is, or just like in Web3 overall, what are the experiences you give an end user at the very end? Is it easy to use? Can you explain what it does exactly? Can you also like warn people if something is happening that you don't want the user to know? And then also explaining all of the features and bells that you essentially offer in a way that is concise and intuitive for a user, because this is all like totally new land that most people haven't really explored or don't really know. So it's like the UI and UX experience plays a big role in that.
Absolutely. You want to give them a good, easy, seamless experience, because no one really knows how to go into the Block Explorer, put in the appropriate parameters, hit the right methods, and,
Yep.
and all of that. It's quite confusing for the average user.
Yep.
Okay, cool, man. Speaking of block explorers, is the Solidity source code for PNS, is it public? Is it out there on Block Explorer?
It's public on Block Explorer, but also so we like our philosophy, and we will also publish all of our code as well as all of the audits and so on, right? So it's like directly on GitHub. And something that we heavily encourage is also to share code within the community. So for instance, like, you know, there's like this Teller Oracle. We made it work, and we shared the code with the community. Similar to Gnosis Safe. You know, it's like we as product builders, we need a Gnosis Safe setup, a multi-wallet setup. So do many other builders as well as users. So essentially, we forked it and made it publicly available. Currently, it's on testnet and mainnet, and we encourage any other builders to use it or fork it and modify it in any shape they see fit. You know what I mean? So, so our goal is to really create this thriving builders community within Pulsechain, where we actually share the tools to build better products for all of us. You know what I mean? So kind of like our ethos. Some people really don't like it. Some people like to hoard everything for themselves and not share. But I believe the ethos of Web3 is sharing, and quite frankly, we're standing all on the shoulders of giants. You know, if it's
true,
you know, so in this case, and I think for Pulsechain to really thrive, it needs to be super easy for any builder that does not know about Pulsechain to come in and build something really quickly without dealing with all of the infrastructure stuff or some weird ass libraries that haven't been, you know, updated to Pulsechain and so on. So it's like, it needs to be simple, you know, not only on the user end, but also for builders.
Dope, man, dope. Yeah, I love that. I love that open source ethos, sharing code. It helps, right? It's leveling up the playing field.
Yep.
Make things easier for builders.
Yep. I mean, like one example, right? One thing that I find awesome, Alex from Hedron, right?
Yeah.
He forked Uniswap, and his fork is available on GitHub, right? And one thought, like especially what happened with Hex, one thing we could all do as builders, just you know, host a fork of Uniswap, or in other words, Alex's fork on all of our front ends, right? Nice. In this case, it would be like, I don't know, uni.mintra.com or Pulse domain, you know, uni.pulse domains. You know,
that's public, yeah?
Yeah, it's public. It's public. He published it, right? But ultimately, this helps again. It's like now you have not only, I don't know, 3 forked Uniswap UIs to buy Hex, but now every project within the Pulsechain ecosystem has that too, and you can buy from any front end, right? Given it's trusted, given those websites are trusted, I probably have to caveat that. But ultimately, it's like when it comes to, you know, withstanding the current that we're currently experiencing within Hex and Pulsechain and so on, we as builders can also take steps to further decentralize it and be resistant against like some BS, regardless from where it's coming. You know, so it's like we have the power. Pulsechain is not something that only Richard owns. It's like we, the community, own it, operate it, you know, with the validators, and also build applications for all of us, right? So it's like Pulsechain becomes what we make out of it. And I think, you know, it's upon us to build awesome experience, awesome applications on it to get more adoption and growth within the system.
We are all Pulsechain.
Exactly. WAP. Exactly. Yep.
WAAP WAP. Very cool. That's until the men in black suits come in and ask, hey, you hide in immutable smart contracts on that validator, eh? Like that meme Richard posted came to mind while you were talking like a month ago.
Cool, yeah, man. It's like good luck finding it there.
Yeah.
I mean, like one of the reasons, you know, especially like with PulseCoinList, right, which is like a coin ranking site that we just launched 2-3 days ago, right? This shows all of the tokens that you have on Pulsechain, right? It's not because, and we built this not because we love trading. Actually, the opposite. I think me personally and my entire team, we do like the long-term game and all of it. But the point of this website is really to bring adoption. This makes the trading and everything that's going on Pulsechain visible, not only for people that know Pulsechain, but also for others, right? And we have various things here. I mean, like the token ranking, where we list 12,000 plus tokens.
Nice.
That you can do,
That's a lot.
Including the charts, right? So if you click on the right, you basically see the chart for every token that you could essentially easily like look up and do all of your, I think the ratios are off here, but it's like all of that, including all of the contracts. Oh, that's what's happening. Yeah. Including the contract addresses and so on, right?
Clean. The good old screener.
Yep. And again, standing on the shoulders of giants, deck screener, right? We don't need to we don't need to rebuild, charting technology, right? So, and then also if we scroll up, you have like something, dude, the stable coins are insane on here right now. I just saw the increases.
You can't sort by liquidity because you get a bunch of
so a couple things that we did, right? We don't like this whole idea about gatekeeping and all of that stuff. So we are displaying the whole enchilada, everything that's on chain. However, we do offer you tools and filters to filter out the crap, the scam coins.
I like that a lot.
You know what I mean?
Versus just, I think more sites should adopt this, dude. Like if they're thinking about, do we show this or not? Just literally give the option, dude, like to show it or not.
And the thing is that also got slightly inspired by you, of like, hey, we just show everything, but we provide users with filters to filter out things that they don't want to see, right? So it's like for the verified only, we only show any Richard Hard tokens and bridged in tokens. For outlier removed, if you go to the top right, for outlier removed, here we're essentially filtering out anything below $1,000 of total value or anything that looks funky in the pools and so on. And we continuously
launched 48 hours. That's a good one too.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely for the snipers out there trying to. Which is totally fine. We just want to make sure that users have the ability to look at the data that the chain is running and interact with it, because at the very end that brings utility and usage. Yeah, we should probably include a reset button on here. One realization that I'm seeing right now. But if you just take out all filters and only click outlier removed. Here we go. Yeah, so this kind of like shows all of the tokens that somewhat are tradable based on total value log, based on 24-hour volume, based on chain liquidity. And again, this is kind of like our own filter that we're still doing and that we're still figuring out on like what the best way. But here again, you have 1,000 tokens or maybe 300 tokens, I don't know, to like play around with. Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah,
no, this is cool. Like I forget you guys built this too sometimes.
I think one thing that you really appreciate is the ERC versus PRC 20 tab. If you click into that, and I think that's really, really interesting to see, because here you could see like, the hex price on Ethereum versus the Pulsechain price on versus the price on Pulsechain. And that across all tokens, right? And you could essentially see what are the tokens that are holding peg, which are the tokens that don't hold peg, right? So what tokens are more valuable on Pulsechain versus Ethereum? And it's interesting to see, to see that metric.
Sorry, hold on. I was trying to figure this out. So you have price on Ethereum, price on Pulsechain for Hex.
Yeah.
You have Hex from Ethereum.
Yeah. So Hex from Ethereum. So, and look at the because Hex from Ethereum is a new contract address.
Right.
Does that make sense? So in theory, it's a totally different token, because Hex from Ethereum on Pulsechain, you cannot stake that one. You cannot.
Of course. Correct.
So that's why it's displayed separately here. Yeah.
But what would hex from Ethereum price on Ethereum mean? That just effectively means hex on Ethereum.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
They got bridged in and is traded. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not confusing at all. Nice.
Yeah. The thing is like with this and with the duplicate tokens and so on, we still need to work on the UI, UX explanation and so
Trust
on,
me, dude.
and make
some exact same thing with looking to hex right now. We're undergoing an update, and it's like you want to show all hex liquidity, and you're like, okay, ehex, is it px, is it bridged in? Like it's a mess now for all of us, the site builders, but I'm sure.
No, I totally agree, and that there are some decisions that you need to make. You need to make for the best of the ecosystem to explain it in the most simplest way possible, right? So yeah, and then oh yeah, here this is for kind of like, this is something that I kind of like really wanted, and some other people just like, you know, if you're RH Maxi, I think there's like 9 total screens, I believe, on the next one or here.
This is what my my tabs usually look like when I have deck screener tabs open. So this is exactly all in one spot. Yeah, you can see my lines that you shouldn't be seeing.
Oh, dude, that's not us. That's not us. That is the deck screener API pulling in your account for some reason.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's actually cool. So that I don't have to like redraw lines too. I like that.
Yep, exactly.
Tough, man. No, this is
so
neat.
the thing is one thing, I'm not sure if you noticed that, Gerardo, but most of the embeds from deck screener, they slightly changed. So now sometimes it just gives you the USD value price in those charts. You know, I'm not sure. And this is a change that happened actually maybe a week ago now. So in order to switch back to have the ratios, you know, you have to click into, exactly.
Price to PLS.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. It's something we still need to. I mean, they don't have any documentation on that, but whenever they start fixing it, we'll make that update as well.
That is neat. And then you have your stats.
Oh yeah, so this is just the sneak peek. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of the stats page. But yeah, this is just the beginning. There's way more to come on the stats page. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So keep on checking that particular page. There will be a lot cool stuff coming.
Well, shoot, you guys are building really cool stuff. I like how you're spreading out and doing multiple things too, because you know, my dev team and myself, we've obviously been focused heavily on Mintra, the NFT marketplace, but there's other stuff we've been building too. Because once you start building, you realize like, oh, we could reuse this tool here. It wouldn't take that long, right?
Exactly.
Other app, and you end up with this like suite of products / sites. So it's really cool to see that you guys have kind of taken a similar path.
I mean here the whole idea with PulseCoinList, and especially if you go into the ecosystem, I think that in particular is not sure if it's in a new tab or something, but if you click into the ecosystem, that whole page showcases, or the goal. I think I see it on your screen, but not on the screen that you're sharing.
Oh yes, my bad. Let me stop that. Present, share screen, Chrome tab. How about the whole window? That's better. Like that.
Here we go. Yeah, perfect. So the thought behind PulseCoinList, and this is really to show visibility to all of the things that are happening on PulseChain, right? So it's like, we have the tokens to trading. Now it becomes more vivid. Now it becomes more real for people and new people to see it. Similar with all of the projects that we have, you know, there are multiple repositories, and really shout out to many people that worked on like combining all of the projects together. You know, it's like, it's great. And for us, it's like, how can we further display various projects on PulseChain and give them visibility, so that whenever someone says, oh, PulseChain, never heard of it, and they visit our site, they're like, holy shit, there's 500 working active applications on it with various, you know, websites and so on. So that's the whole main goal of this. For this in particular, we still have a super long list of projects that we're planning to add. In addition, if you're a project founder, please press the button at the top right.
I was about to say, like with wallets, I don't see KG's project, Internet Money.
KG, 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 if you're listening, dude, put it on it. Put it on it.
Yeah. And for the analytics sites, I still need to upload a Look into X as well.
Yep.
See, we have Mintro, which is really cool.
Yep.
On marketplaces, no NFT projects. Damn. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I have to say this whole this particular section of the website was created maybe I don't know. It was created within like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
And we launched this like maybe 6-7 days ago. So this is fairly new.
Okay.
But the vision for this is to see like pretty much all applications, sites, even like full-on Web3 applications like NFT marketplaces and so on, but also Web2 sites like stat sites, hex-related, not hex-related, all on here. So for anyone that comes to Pulsechain, they see they basically within one quick glance see that there's a lot of activity happening within the Pulsechain ecosystem, bringing more further, recognition and recognition to the entire crypto space.
Badass, man. I like it. Now I know we went a little off onto PulseCoinList, but I did have.
Oh, sorry.
No. We're so good. It's really nice. I think people enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and it hasn't gotten the marketing it deserves. It's a really cool site. I did want to talk about the like how are users going to claim their PNS names? I know it's kind of a hard to pivot back into this, but I was really curious if that was remaining on my list of questions. Like, what's that claiming process going to look like to make it fair? Make sure the quote unquote right users are getting the correct domain and so on.
Yeah, good question. So we thought about this, right? So it's like if you're launching a naming service, right? You always have this chance of like the first 100 people just minting, 5,000 names and reselling them for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Exactly, right?
In the Web2 world, yeah.
Exactly. So what we did, we created a free name claiming service. So in other words, if you are a project building on Pulsechain, you could essentially claim your name for free, right? I know you guys did it, your entire team did it on various projects that you guys are working on, so did many others. In addition to that, if you are, and this is very subjective, right? But it's like, so don't get mad at us, but we try to establish some filters. If you're a known hexagon, and when I say known hexagon, what does that mean? It's like if you're on streams, if you have X amount of followers, if people really know you, and there's a chance of your name being squatted, you can essentially also claim your name. Right. But if you're like, hey, my name is XYZ, I'm a known hexagon in this, small little group, then it's like, well, there's a low chance of your name being squatted within the first couple of days, right? So we try to establish some sort of rule. So in this case, we're saying if you're a known hexagon that streams a lot, or if you're an admin in any of the RH Telegram groups, you can claim your name fully for free, And this is really to ensure a fair launch where we have, all individuals that establish their name within the Pulsechain ecosystem, that they actually get to claim their name.
Okay. So
including Richard Hart, we whitelisted all Richard Hart's names, including typos when you type in Richard Hart for 50 years, and he's more than welcome to claim it at any point in time, including Pulsechain or PulseX. Sorry, guys, we made the centralized decision to essentially white label them and give them only to Richard Hart or the team, or not have them in use overall, because the fear of, let's say, someone minting Pulsechain.pls and then doing any scams was just
right.
And we really try to avoid that. Yeah. And once we launch, we just cannot take those names back. So that's why there's X amount of addresses that are all Richard Hart related that we just whitelisted and give away to Richard Hart personally if he chooses to, or just let them be reserved for the next 50 years. Yep.
Okay, and we'll probably see a bunch of domains start popping up on marketplaces as well for sale.
Exactly.
And you guys plan on doing something like that, like auctioning off a bunch?
So so I'll put it this way, right? Yeah. So if you look at the trend that where ENS went, where people minted a name for $5 and sold it for $5,000 or $6,000, or even like 3-digit domains that they bought for $600 and sold for millions. It's like that's the marketplace, and people are free to do whatever they want with their domain name once they minted it. They can sell them, they can double the price on it or not, or lose. That's all up to them. It's like we want to make sure that we provide a fully trustless service, name service to the Pulsechain ecosystem, and what people choose to do with their name is totally up to them. Yeah,
for sure. I'm assuming, hoping you guys got x.pls as well, like all the one-letter ones.
So the smaller digit is 3 letters. Yeah. So it's like 123.pls. So that's kind of like the smallest digit. We could also do 2 and 1 digit maybe in the future, but the number of those might not be worth the squeeze of changing the look, like several contracts for it, and then also auditing that on top. Maybe something we do in the future if there's really demand for 1-letter domain names. Totally fine, but for now it's like 3 letters and up, and this also includes emojis, right? So some emojis could be like, I don't know, a heart emoji, or like some other ones where you only have 1 emoji, but that counts for 3 digits.
It does.
Yes, there are some where you could essentially have 1 emoji because it gets translated into what's the name, into like text, and that text in that case is like more than 3 digits. So you could get emoji names, 1-digit emoji names for less than $5 or for $5.
I run the risk of sounding dumb here, but they get broken down into, is it Unicode or what is it?
Yes, exactly.
Unicode? Okay.
Exactly.
I knew some things. Okay, so I was gonna ask, emojis. That's cool. That's cool that you guys support that. But no 1-letter, no 2-letter. What about numbers? I'm assuming you
numbers. Yep.
Right.
So which was also really interesting to see, because we did like extensive research in like the 3-digit and 4-digit communities on ENS. So there are people who have, let's say 222.eth.
Right.
that they bought, I don't know, for $600 because it's 3-digit, that is now worth $20,000-$30,000. And they built an entire community based on 3-digit names, and they and the way they talk about this, it's like, there's numerology in place where people buy specific numbers and so on, and it's like you know what I mean? And it's like, it's awesome to see that like people get so excited about specific digits and having their identity attached to that, right?
So it's like 777.pls or a 369.pls or
exactly
5555.pls. Those are
exactly. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, and again, it's like when it comes to the launch date, we're pretty much ready. We're just waiting. We could essentially launch tomorrow, or wait with our own Oracle or the price feed that we take from PulseX. But it would be cooler to launch with the Fetch Oracle in place, that being fully decentralized and tested and audited, and then for us to launch. And I think
isn't there an Oracle already out there, like Teller or something? I heard.
Well, is that
a good one? Why do you guys do that?
So Teller was planning to launch.
Yeah.
So they got forked over on Pulsechain, right? All of their smart contracts. It seems like they didn't do anything with making that Teller technology work on Pulsechain. So when we approached the Oracle question, we're like, okay, we'll let someone else figure that out because we don't have the time nor the interest on dealing with oracles. It's like, for us, it's not a mission critical point to figure out, right? So we're like, okay, probably someone has figured that out already. So when we actually crossed that street, we noticed no one really has solved it yet, right? And even like the Teller team, they haven't even solved their own tech on Pulsechain. So what we did, we essentially revived the Teller code on Pulsechain and started reporting prices. So we are basically a reporter. So we basically have a reporter infrastructure on Teller, on Pulsechain, reporting the price. So however, the biggest because no one was doing it, and we're like, fuck, we need a price oracle. You know what I mean? So and
Why?
Uh,
I just
what?
started thinking about your like how PNS works and what exactly is the where does the Oracle play in? Like which prices
Oh,
are you grabbing?
whenever you it plays only a role in one little thing. Whenever you mint a name and we want to show you the name in USD,
Right.
we could easily take the exchange, we could easily take that price feed from PulseX, or even from Teller, as we build it, and that will be sufficient enough. But however, we want to ideally launch fully decentralized with technology and variables that are also fully decentralized, so that there's no need for us to patch anything or make any changes. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Yeah, you don't
so
want
it's
to use
like
some sort of centralized data feed API or whatever, and then have
exactly.
an update later. You might as well
Even
just,
like
I hear you.
even for us, the worst case scenario is someone overpays or underpays for a domain name. Boo hoo, not a big deal, right? But for anyone that runs some sort of trading or some sort of like platform where price plays a big role, they can get all liquidated or not. So price plays a big role for them. However, our approach is like we still want to be fully cautious and work with technology that is fully like decentralized. So going back to kind of like the Teller situation, well, Teller works on Pulsechain. However, it is not fully a native Oracle, nor does the Teller team supports it. And we're not in the business of running an Oracle, to be honest. It's like there are more exciting things that I get really passionate about, other than not really interested in running an Oracle or figuring that stuff out, right? So there's
Wait,
no
you're
support
not
from
passionate about price feeds. How dare you?
dude. There's only X amount of there's. I'll put it this way: there's a handful of things that I care that I care a lot about, and many other things I don't. And since price feeds is not critical for us, but I know there are many projects where it's critical for them. I'll let them lead the road with it, and if the technology is like awesome, we will adopt it.
Nice.
And it seems like that there's there.
Yeah, like when you're minting an NFT or a domain name, pretty much you could launch now, like you said, and the user would see it costs
PLS.
100,000 PLS. Boom. Then they would have to go, oh, how much is that in USD? Go to Dex Screener, do their own calculation. But you want to give the best user experience, which I respect that. Yeah. Awesome.
And then also like and I think maybe something that a lot of project founders deal with it is like also identifying the right sentiment and sentiment in the market on when to launch, right? It's like, because especially in Web3 that plays a big role, and it's like even though there are many people that want you to launch today, which is awesome, but for maximum impact and maximum opportunity, you might want to time the market. And I know a ton of Web3 founders personally outside of Pulsechain and also inside of Pulsechain, and many say timing plays a big role. So time it wisely.
So are you timing the market, Pulse.domains?
Well, it's not timing the market. It's more like timing the sentiment, right?
Okay.
The sentiment within a specific community. This could mean the price is going down, but there's a lot of engagement and excitement within the community that justifies a launch.
Well, on that note, do you where do you see the sentiment now?
Well, I think now it's a little gray. I think with all of the updates that are happening. However, it's upon us as the builders and users of Pulsechain to keep pushing forward and build. And because this is a process we cannot actively impact. I know there are some individuals that took it upon them to educate others about RH and the history of RH and the hundreds of hours of what he's done for the entire community, and like clipping those clips and showcasing them and so on. And I think this is awesome. But also for others, for those that are building, it's for us to march forward to build this ecosystem. And regardless of, because this could take another year or 2 or 3 years, and it's like, we're not giving up. For us, nothing really has changed, So we're continuing to march forward and also encourage any other builders to continue to do the same. Yeah. And for anyone that looked into that case, the grounds are pretty weak. A lot of changes coming. So we see a bright future with this.
Nice, man.
WAP. We are all Pulsechain. Here we go.
We're all Pulsechain.
Just trademark that one here. I like that. I like that.
Damn. Yep. Okay, so yeah, we ran through all of my questions. The last one was just like, how difficult is this turning out to be? Is it more difficult than you imagined? Or you pretty much told me you guys are all done, so I can't imagine it was, overly difficult. But I'm curious.
I'll tell you this.
Tell me.
I mean, like I've developed a bunch of Web 2 companies and startups and all of that, right? And there, it's really important to have the right team, a good team, good devs, and so on. But in Web3, that becomes much more important, So it's like when you see a 10x developer, it doesn't mean that they're a 10x faster or anything, but they think on a totally different level, solving problems at the fraction of the time and providing really good code. And that's something that you see really, really rarely in Web3. So finding and building a really good team in Web3 is perhaps one of the hardest things aside from the tech. It's like tech could be easy with a bad team. You could take years to build it. But it's like if you have the right team and the right expertise, you could essentially build anything pretty much. Yeah,
so
especially
you got a good team on your side. Then you have good devs, good people on your team.
I mean, the amount of people we vetted and people we work with vetted is quite extensive. So, but we are very confident with our team. I mean, it's like just it shows. It's like we continue to build various projects on top of that. So we feel very comfortable, and we're very blessed that we have the team.
Got Games is comment down here. Gerardo would know. LOL. Yeah, man. Building a solid team who, work well with others, know what they're doing, have good morals. Yada, like the list goes on. Once you find them, stick with them, hold them tight, man, because it's awesome to be able to just build fast, quality products in Web3 and have that communication within the team, and that trust within the team is super important.
Yeah, and something I'd say to all Web 2 and Web 3 founders, right? Like, it's really, really critical to find good people so you can work on multiple companies over the next years together. It's not about this company that you're building now. It might be about the fourth company that you're building down the road, So it's like, the highest currency is obviously skill, but then also trust that you develop within your team and within others. So, yeah.
Well, dude, that was a pleasure having you on. We're coming up to the 1 hour mark.
Awesome.
I'm excited for my Gerardo.pls name, man.
Yep.
For being able to trade those on different marketplaces like Mintra, and just not having to type out or copy paste long strings of addresses, but rather just send to your buddy.pls. So thanks again. Where can people find you? I'll put your links down below if you want to show stuff right now.
Yeah, so our website for Pulse domains is pulse.domains. For PulseCoinList, it's pulsecoinlist.com. You can find the socials there. I would encourage you to follow us, especially on the pulse.domain site, because once we launch, we will be announcing the launch. And if you want to scoop up some awesome domain names, people that are first have higher chances of scooping up good names. So you want to definitely follow us, and then also turn on notifications for that announcement.
Boom. Go check it out, guys. Pulse.domains. And we'll leave you with the outro video. Good having you on, man.
Thank you so much again. Always fun chatting.
Likewise, bro. Bye, bro.